Hi guys, so we've got quite a bit of things I need to talk to you about before we start in with this transformational speech. So I hope that you are taking the time to listen to this and watch this video before you begin to complete or take a look at the rest of the things in this module, because I'm going to go over some things that are really going to be helpful to you. So with the module, since it is a lot for today, just because I am introducing the new speech, I kind of broke it down into chunks. So you do need to watch the videos in order. It's not in here yet, but when I finish this video, I'll put that link first. Then you're going to watch a lecture video from actually two, from Dr. Arthos, both having to do obviously with the transformational speech. I believe lecture 20 is about 20 minutes long, maybe not quite that long. Then lecture 21 is about 5 minutes long. And then you will have a couple of files that we'll talk about with the rubric and the online structure of the speech. So you can kind of follow that and figure out what's going on when I finish talking about the notes. And then I'll give you the section with the actual assignments that you're going to be turning in for the module. So a lot of preliminary prep work, because I know that this is a lot, and it's full of things that are going to be valuable to you later on as we continue with the speech. I'm also giving you this transformational speech resources module. It's the same stuff that's up there, but it's just going to live down here. So you'll see the lecture videos, the important files, and sample speeches. A lot of these I will be referencing in the notes today, because I know sometimes these modules, like, the daily ones, kind of get lost in the shuffle. So I will always make sure that this one is published up near with the current day one, so that you can easily reference things as you need to. Okay, so let's talk about what the heck this transformational speech is all about. More Than Meets the Eye. It's actually my favorite speech of all the ones that you guys get to do, because it's so unique and it's just a really cool idea, and I think it makes you better people at the end of this speech. So basically, your goal is to, as it says there, engage in an ideological analysis and critique. So you are going to take this idea node, and we'll talk about what that means here in a little bit, and explain to the audience why something in that way of thinking, that ideological thinking, is problematic, and then offer a solution for correcting it or fixing it. So you'll follow the pattern on the next slide. It is a 6-minute speech worth 110 points. Very, very important, if you want to do well in the speech, that you watch the examples, that you look at the rubrics and the documents that I will point out to you in a little bit. There's also a transformational speech module like I talked about, so make sure you follow that. Okay, so there's not really an outline like in all the others you had, problem solution or motivated sequence, reflective sequence, all these different types of things that you could have chosen to organize your speech with. This is basically it. So your introduction is going to have a conversion story. And Dr. Arthos is going to explain this, and I'm going to show you another document that's going to give you a more detailed example too. But basically, the conversion story is your own story, own personal story, or it can be a story from another person who has faced a conversion related to your topic. So a conversion in the way of thinking about something, and I'll give you examples of that in a minute. Then in the ideology, that's where you will explain the ideology, the mindset behind this way of thinking. So it's really, a speech about the issues, but not really about the issues, because it's about the way that people talk about the issues and the way that they symbolize them. So it really teaches you to consider the impact of your language and the way that you speak. So for example, one of the transformation examples that we'll watch is about the question, what were you wearing? And that's as the idea that women, and more often than men, are asked that question after an assault, and people want to, okay, well, what was she wearing, or what were you wearing? So that's what Akashia, I think, forget her last name, Greenwell, the student example that you'll watch at some point today or tomorrow, she will talk about how that idea, why that is entrenched in kind of the culture of when people, and then shifting blame, assigning blame to women or to people, to victims when it's not their fault. And then exchanging that term, what were you wearing, to some other type of word. So let's exchange that to this, and that's what you'll do in the second part of the body. Then fourth is the conclusion, but it's really more than a conclusion. It's called a peroration, and it's basically your mic drop moment. It's filled with pathos. This conclusion is going to be longer. It should be longer than any conclusion you've had in other speeches before. But this is where you're really going to solidify the points and bring them home and explain why this is important. And really, like I said, use your powers of pathos. And you'll get plenty of examples. If this is all confusing to you right now, hang in there. So here's some examples, kind of found out in the real world there, I guess. All of these links, they're in this PowerPoint, but they're in that module that I made for you as well. I put the asterisk next to Maya Bialik's Girl versus Woman because that one is very, very, very good. And obviously, it's not like a transformational speech per se. She didn't have our rubric. She didn't sit down and follow this template, but that's what she's doing. She's giving you a story to set it up. She's explaining why this term calling grown women girls is problematic and what we need to do to kind of fix this and swap it out. What should we say to swap it out? So I highly encourage you to watch that one. If you don't watch any of the others, well, you definitely need to watch the IU student example, but then you need to watch Maya Bialik's. Very, very important. So this is the one, Kasia Greenwell. Again, I did have to record it off my computer screen, so the audio is not that great. And the delivery, obviously there's problems with that, but this is almost perfectly set up in the proper format of a transformational speech. So you really, really, really need to watch Acacia. It's a great example. It's one that they showed all of the staff when they were training us last summer at IU. So it's very good as far as, following the goals, meeting the assignment goals. Okay, we're going to watch this video. You're going to watch this video about that John Cena made with this group. Basically, it's talking about this idea of what an American is. And so, we think about patriotism, we think about America and like the stereotypical or the ideal even American citizen and what that looks like. And he's going to ask you to do this in the video, but if you, were kind of think about it in your mind, what patriotism looks like or what a true American looks like, we would all probably have very different images in our mind of what that person is. So this isn't really, again, not exactly a transformational speech, not following the rubric, but it is one that makes you realize, oh, I didn't even think that, it never really occurred to me. Of course, this is also what an American is. Of course, this is what patriotism is. And so it's swapping out some of these idea nodes that are entrenched in our, fabric of our identity and then making them more open and broad and making us better people in the end. So let's take a look at John Cena, shall we? Maybe we shall.
Patriotism. There's a word thrown around a lot. It inspires passionate debate and is worn like a badge of honor, and with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. Love. For a word designed to unite, it can also be pretty divisive. See, there's more to patriotism than flag sequin onesies and rodeos and quadruple cheeseburgers. Patriotism is love for a country, not just pride in it. But what really makes up this country of ours? What is it we love? It's more than just a huge rock full of animals like cougars and eagles, right? It's the people. Do me a favor. Close your eyes for a second. I want to try something. Picture the average U.S. citizen. Think about it. How old are they? What's their hair like? How much can they bench? You got one? Okay. So chances are, the person you're picturing right now looks a little different than the real average American. There are 319 million U.S. citizens. 51% are female. So first off, the average American is a woman. Cool, huh? Is that what you pictured? 54 million are Latino, 40 million senior citizens, 27 million are disabled, 18 million are Asian. That's more people in the U.S. that play football and baseball combined. 9 million are lesbian, gay, bi, transgender, more than the entire amount of people that live in the state of Virginia. Around 10 million are redhead, 5.1 million play ultimate frisbee, and 3.5 million are Muslim. Triple the number of people currently serving in the United States military. Almost half the country belongs to minority groups. People who are lesbian, African American, and bi, and transgender, and Native American, and proud of it. We know that labels don't devalue us, they help define us, keeping us dialed into our cultures and our beliefs and who we are as Americans. After all, what's more American than freedom to celebrate the things that make us, us? I mean, it's stitched into the stars and stripes of this country, from the Constitution to Gettysburg, to our motto, E pluribus unum, from many, one. It's even in our country's name, the United States. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, disability, sexuality, race, religion, and any other labels. Because the second any of us judge people based on those labels, we're not really being patriotic, are we? So let's try this one more time. Close your eyes. Picture the average Joe or Joan or Juan or Jean-Luc. The real people who make America, America. And this year, whenever you feel the urge to don those star-spangled shorts, set off fireworks the size of my biceps to show love for our country, remember that to love America is to love all Americans. Because love has no labels.
Okay, so you get the idea, right? Hopefully, ideally. And, it's just taking this idea that, what we may think of a traditional American or what the idea of patriotism is or whatever, swapping it out or broadening our viewpoint of those things. So it's really, again, I hope I'm probably being confusing because my thoughts tend to get all jumbled around when I'm trying to think, but you really just want to break through the audience's entrenched belief system, basically about some public controversy, and you want to refigure their common understanding or their common sense. So you have to dive into the ideology that's governing the audience's perspective and identify, how these, like the current association of attitudes, beliefs, practices, values, whatever, how they have become distorted, maybe, and you can make an argument for how these associations could be reconfigured to bring about a more, I don't know if positive is necessarily the word, but a different, a broader ideology instead. So let's take a look at some of these files that you're going to look at here. Again, Dr. Arthos, this one here is very familiar to you. It's the traditional speech assignment rubric paper, maybe, that you need to look at. This one, woohoo, you get 5 note cards. So, but anyway, you can kind of look through that. I'm not going to read that to you. That's, it goes through step by step in the first part, what you need to do, the second part, the last part, the criteria for evaluation. This I cannot stress to you enough. You need to be looking at this when you are organizing your outline and when you are practicing your speech. And I made this comment on a lot of your feedbacks for the invitational speech because it's like some of you, I think, kind of look at this and then you're like, oh, okay, that's fine. But there are some things that aren't explicitly stated in that first page of the rubric that I have. This is the paper that I have in front of me when I grade your speech. So if I don't hear a clear claim about the paradigm shift, or if you don't give me a map for the audience, then you're going to find yourself in one of these lesser categories. So you want to make sure that you meet all of the goals on this grade sheet that I'm going to have in front of me when I grade you when you give the speech on, I think it's May the 12th. Okay, so that's an important file in here. Another important file, this one I found in like our resources file and the IU things that they give us teachers. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. This is probably going to be one of your most valuable documents yet. This one, it's long. I know it's 5 pages, but this one, I titled it this myself, the Ultimate Transformative Speech Handout. So it'll, again, spell out for you and with some specific examples and maybe some more clear ways than I could do what you do in the introduction. So what is this conversion story? What do you do in the first part of the body? Again, that's where I was saying you have to explain your ideology, the idea node. Then there's specific examples. Then in the second part of the body, when you will exchange or swap the idea nodes. And then lastly, in the conclusion, again, you can see it. Pull out all the stops here. Appeal to the pathos. Visualize it for us. It's very much like that visualization section of the last speech. Tells you some other things to make sure that you remember to do in your conclusion, and then making sure you have your works cited page. So this one, super, super, super important. Okay. Then let's see. Okay, so those are those two things. So now to what do you need to do to get your points for this module. So the first thing you're doing, this is the discussion post. I want you to watch this. I'm joking, obviously, it's up and coming vlogger Barbie. But did you know that Barbie, some person who's running this account, has a lot of interesting vlogs? Some of them are actually like kind of deep thought type of thing. But so Barbie's going to talk to you about the sorry reflex. So the reflex that, and she mostly, or directs it to females, but I know that there are males too. All genders that are, I don't know if guilty is the word, but susceptible to this, where we say sorry as a reflex. We don't even really mean it, and when we don't really even need to say it, we have nothing to be sorry for. So it's kind of like, why do we do this? So she's going to talk to you about maybe how that could be changed in that viewpoint. So again, it is like, I put it in here, like the transformational speech. It's going to show you a way to transform the language that we use and replace it, because that's two big things in the body of your speech. So anyway, after you watch this, I want you to discuss something, put something in the discussion post, your own idea of something that people say that should be replaced. Is there a term or a slang term or something that you've thought of, that you've heard, or whatever that you think, yeah, we say this, but this is why it's problematic. If you can explain why it's problematic, that's fine. That's enough. But if you can think of something, a possible word or phrase that could replace it, that would be even better. Another way you could choose to approach this is if you can't think of one, maybe think of a word that people used to say that, was in like the common vernacular, and what it was replaced with, and maybe why. That could be just identifying one that has already been affected could work. This vlog thing's short. It's like 2.5 minutes. So you watch that. You will respond. And then the only other thing you're going to do is you have 2 top hat units. I can't remember off the top of my head. I know one was kind of average. One had a couple of little video things to look at. They shouldn't take you too terribly long. So this and the discussion post are not due until the 21st at 11:59 p.m. So you've got a lot of time. But one of the things, and it's not explicit in your, well, okay, maybe it is. I'm sorry. At the end of this module, so you'll see this completion page. You've got those assignments to do, but your topic is going to be due next week. I think it's, I want to say the 23rd. I honestly don't remember off the top of my head, but you're going to have a transformational speech topic thought of. So you really need to, after you get these videos, like you look at these examples from the different video links, find something that you think that's going to work for you and come up with a topic that way. And, really, you can even think of, there's so many transformational speeches really even that are coming out of this COVID virus, and maybe you're sick and tired of talking about it and thinking about it, and that's fine. But you can think about, like, how has the virus impacted you, or maybe what has it revealed that wasn't obvious to you or noticeable to you beforehand about what people say or do. One thing that struck me is this idea of the essential workers, right? We have so that definition has expanded now, but when we realize these people that are feeding us and getting the grocery shelves stocked and ringing up our groceries for us and things like that, and the truck drivers, the whole argument that they're sometimes in our normal everyday society maybe not considered essential, but under the circumstances that's changed. So maybe there's a topic in there for you. I don't know. So maybe you get some ideas from Barbie or Maya Bialik. I don't know. So anyway, think of a topic, because you will be expected to have one next week. I'm going to have a Zoom conference Friday. So if you want to join on Friday, it's going to be at 1:30. I'll just hang out there. And if nobody shows up, that's cool. But I just thought, if you have a question, you're like, you know what, I'll just ask her over Zoom, because maybe it's one of those ones that you just need to see somebody to ask it. That's fine. You're obviously always welcome to email me or message me if you're like, what the crap, lady. But I did want you to know that there was that Zoom meeting. So lots to think about and look over. Again, really listen to Dr. Arthos. Really take a look at these things. Watch some of the videos. Watch the vlog Barbie response thing. Do the top hat. One of the top hats just about getting ready for this type of a speech. And I really think that once you've done those things, you'll have a clearer picture of what you're doing. But again, it's really just kind of thinking about the issues. But the way that people talk about them, and what are some things that are problematic that we need to swap out. Maybe instead of saying this or doing things this way, we need to consider X, Y, or Z. So in some regard, it's kind of a culmination of all the speeches you've done. It's, you're inviting, you're also presenting, a perspective. So it's going to have a lot of different facets to it, and I think it's going to be really powerful and important. So again, please don't ask me questions about details that you can find in a rubric somewhere. Since I know this is a long video and some of you may not have watched all the way to the end, I'm going to give 1 point extra credit if you are still listening to this video. All you need to do is shoot me a Canvas message and say, Mrs. H, I listened all the way to the end. You should be proud of me. I mean, maybe not those exact words, but something to that effect. So again, that's extra credit. And be cool and don't tell the other people that don't watch the video, okay? All right, that's it. So don't forget to do that attendance check. Watch the videos in order. Watch mine, then these. Then you'll look over these rubrics. Then you'll do your assignments. And then if you want to reference some of these speeches examples later, that's a good thing to do. All right, take care of yourselves, and I will talk to you Friday if you want, or message me with your questions. See you guys.